an oil exploration platform built in the middle of the ocean and in the middle of the water. One time, the government was in a hurry to drill an oil well there, and they completely forgot to take all their precautions and do the initial test. This problem caused a giant explosion in the platform that no one knew how to catch up with at all, and the workers were helpless. What exactly is the story, and who will save these people? This is what we will know in today's video. The movie begins with a person named Mike William, who lives in his house with his wife Felicia and his little daughter, whom he loves very much. Currently, Mike is sitting with his wife and daughter and talking to them. We learn from his words that Mike works in a gas field in the middle of the ocean, and he is supposed to go to the field today and stay there for 21 days. Indeed, Mike is now saying goodbye to Felicia, his wife and daughter, and he leaves and heads to his work. First, he is supposed to go to a government center to register there. He will go on the work trip and then he will move to the field. And by the way, we see in this center a person named Jimmy, and he is Mike Amo's boss, and he will also go with Mike to this gas field. We also see a girl named Andrea who also works with Mike and Jimmy, and she will also go on the trip with them. Currently, Mike, Jimmy, and Andrea are registering, and he is moving with the rest of the workers with them on the plane so that it will take them directly to the field that is in the middle of the ocean. Indeed, after a short period of time, Mike, Jimmy, Andrea, and those with them arrive at this field, and he, my friend, does not arrive with Jimmy. And everyone at the field finds that there is a large group of workers who will walk from this field on the same plane that Jimmy flew on, and all of this made Jimmy wonder a little in your house with one of them, and they ask him whether he did the cement test or not. This cement test, my friend, in short, is a safety test that the team on the field here is supposed to do so that they know whether they will have the ability to drill the field is a new gas in the place here or not. But now the person who Jimmy was asking him knows that they did not do any test because they were busy with other work. They let him go. Of course, Jimmy gets upset because this test is supposed to be done literally before any work. But in any case, Jimmy now goes to one of the workers who is still in the field, whose name is Banks, and asks Banks why they did not do the test, so they tell Banks that there was no time. Of course, Jimmy is not convinced by this talk at all because what is this madness? So now Mike asks the other workers why they did not do the test at that time. Mike goes to one of the workers named Caleb and asks Caleb why they did not do this test. So they tell Caleb that he does not know anything at all. He was ordered not to do the test, so they did not do it at that time. Mike leaves all of this and now goes to the guy named Jason, and Jason, D, is originally responsible for conducting the test in the end. He is the one who is supposed to examine the field. After what is the testing process means that he must do the test before he starts working, so that if something happens, he won't be involved in it. Anyway, Jason tells Mike that Don, the field manager who came from the government, is the one who told him not to do this test in order to save money and time. Mike is very nice and doesn't comment and leaves Jason for now and walks away. After that, Mike goes to Latakia so that he can get ready. At the same time, by the way, he contacts his wife Felicia and reassures himself that he has finally reached the field and started his work. He knows that he will call her later. Mike finishes his talk and goes to Jimmy. So they take Jimmy, and now they go to sit with Don. By the way, Jimmy gets into the subject right away and tells Don that he will not start digging the field or give a final order to dig the field until they do the cement test and make sure that the pressure is perfect. Then they start working. Of course, Don doesn't like this and tells Mike that he won't do the test either, but Mike insists on his words, force Don to agree to them, and that's it. Indeed, not much time passes before the test begins. The test, by the way, is a test in a tube that pulls mud from the bottom of the ocean so that they can see if the pressure there is correct or not. By the way, there is a group of workers like Caleb and others at this tube to see how it works and whether it works properly or not. In general, at the same time, Jimmy, Don, and Jason are in the garage room running the entire test process. They see all the indicators and everything in front of them. Indeed, the test begins, and after a while it ends well. And everyone's trouble is that there is excess pressure in the tube. So Jim decides that he will not complete anything except a test. They stop there and solve the problem after that. They decide to do another test and see after that whether the problem has been solved before they dig the field or not. But Dom rejects all this talk, and Jimmy knows that the pressure percentage is high, yes, but in a simple way, and therefore it is normal when they complete the test. Jimmy's eggs, but he reluctantly agrees to Don's words after a while. There are workers who take Jimmy and Mike to the bottom of the field to celebrate him because he has completed more than 40 years of work in the sea, meaning they celebrate him at the same time. Don is with Jason, and Jason knows that they have to complete the test. So Jason tells Don that he is worried about completing the test because the pressure will be much higher and a problem might happen, but Don insists, so the eggs are out now. Jason completes the test, and he actually completes the test, and at that moment the pressure starts to increase very, very much in the tube that he is pumping the mud into, meaning or they are pulling the mud from the bottom of the ocean, and at that moment Don goes out to see this tube and reassure himself, and also has a dog with him. And by the way, up until here everything was fine, but after a few moments the disaster begins as Cal finds that the tube is leaking mud, And before he begins to understand what is happening, the tube explodes and the mud starts to flood everywhere in the field. Literally, and the world is quickly destroyed at that time. Jason closes the valve so that the disaster does not get bigger. But the disaster, my friend, has already happened because literally minutes after he closed the valves, the entire pipe begins to explode. And not just the pipe, almost everything in the field begins to explode from the excessive pressure. And literally no one can control the situation at all, to the point that the pressure destroys the armored glass of the control room where Jason and his men are. Not only that, the situation does not stop there. The evil that happened begins to destroy the field, one after the other, and even the place of the drainage pipes that are in the field, which are supposed to expel the mud. But, of course, they do not fart, but they also begin to explode and chaos spreads in the place, and Kelly continues to try to save the workers who were harmed by this explosion, while at the same time trying to protect himself. By the way, Andrea was with Baxter in another room, and they do not know what is happening, but the problem is the explosion that happened started to leak gas. And by the way, Andre has indicators, so she quickly goes out to see what exactly is going on and writes that the field is exploding, so she quickly calls for help. As for Mike, by the way, at that time he was talking to his wife Felicia on video, but suddenly Mike finds that the lights he has are exploding because of what is happening in the field, and also the connection with his wife is cut off, so he now visits Mike and goes out to discover the disaster that is happening. And as soon as Mike goes out, he finds the whole world exploding around him, and because of that, he is also thrown far away and look. As for Jimmy, he was currently taking a shower in the bathroom in his room, and suddenly the explosion happens in a house celebrating a holiday, and he hits the glass and the glass enters his body and looks at him with serious injury. After that, we see that the explosion reaches everywhere, my friend, in the field or this platform, and there is a ship, by the way, that is close to the place, so it immediately informs the Coast Guard. In order to quickly send rescue boats at this time, Mike and Bella wake up and one of the workers is injured, so he is happy, and they continue to circle the place while he is reacting to the fire with extreme difficulty until, by the way, on his way, he meets Jimmy, who, as we said, is very injured, to the point that he is unable to see well. So he is happy with Mike and takes him and moves to go to the command room. Maybe they can control anything in this fire. And we see, by the way, that the explosions that are happening are injuring many workers and killing many people, especially those who work in the drilling area, who are literally in the heart of the explosions in any case. After a while, Mike arrives with Jimmy and Andrea to the command room, and Dawn is there. And at this time, by the way, Jimmy looks at Dawn with a look full of anger and does not say anything to Dawn except one thing only. And that is, get out of here and go to the rescue boat. So Don actually does that, and he, completely silent after he destroyed the whole world. But Jimmy and Mike now decide to make an attempt to control the fire, which is by closing the gas valves. And Jim keeps trying to close these valves, but he still fails, so they tell Mike that he will go and close them manually, and he helps him from his place here in the command room. At that time, Mike and Caleb actually go and try to close the valves manually, and Bing is in this and control the fire a little bit, but the fire, by the way, is still burning completely normally. And see that the rescue boats start coming now and start taking people from the field, or this noise until after a while, almost everyone has left the platform except for two only, which are Mike and Andrea. At that time, by the way, Mike sees that there is no solution other than for them to jump into the water, or they will die on the platform, but Andrea is in a state of hysteria like this and literally not being. She wants to jump into the water, and she is ready to die on a platform, and she tells Mike to go and leave her because he has a family that he must return to. But Mike refuses to leave her alone to die, so Mike and Biz take her and throw her into the water, and then he jumps after her and keeps swimming until he reaches her and takes her. And they get on the lifeboat, and the one who takes them now is the ship. All the people who were rescued from the platform have gathered on it, and now Jimmy starts calling all the workers to see who is alive and who is dead. And of course, among those who are alive are Caleb and Pakistan, Drea and Mike, and others. But there are also many dead, and when I call their names, no one answers, and this is what makes Jimmy very angry. And he keeps looking at Dawn, a look that has a great meaning. They used to say that you are the reason for all this that happened, and because of this, my friend Dawn gets upset, so I walk away from everyone but my master. Then they go back to the center, which is affiliated with the government, and there the families are waiting for their sons who were on the platform. And of course, there are many who died. And this shocks many of the families to the point that one of them keeps fighting with Mike and asks him, "Where is my son?" But the security stops them, and the problem ends there. And Mike goes to his room after that and keeps crying from the intensity of the impact of what happened to him and all his friends, who he literally saw with his own eyes die. But now his wife and daughter come to him, and he is upset about everything that happened, and they take him after that and leave from here completely, and they leave. By the way, he decided that he will never return to the ocean or work in this job again, ever. And at this point, point, my friend, the movie ends, and what I want to tell you at the end is that it is based on a true story that actually happened, and all the characters and events that we saw in this movie are real characters. And of course, after what happened was a trial attended by Mike, Jimmy, Andrea, and all the people who survived the platform. Of course, everyone testified, and the whole world knew that Don and the government, who were in a hurry to dig the field, were the cause of this great disaster and the reason for the death of all these people. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.